Let's be honest, most conversations we have at work are just too long, way too confusing, and frankly, a total waste of time. But we can fix that. Today, we're diving into Chris Fenning's book, The First Minute, to figure out how to start conversations that actually get the results we want. You know that feeling, right? You're trapped in a conversation, someone is just going on, and you're just sitting there screaming in your head, where's this going? Get to the point. You're nodding, trying to look engaged, but on the inside, you are completely and utterly lost. Yeah, we've all been there. The book kicks off with this perfect, all too real example. So picture this. You're walking to lunch, and a coworker, let's call him Steve, stops you. He immediately launches into this story about a test case, something about an LT10 program, and you're just standing there trying to piece together what any of this has to do with you. And then, after what feels like an eternity, 10 whole minutes of rambling, Steve finally drops the bomb. A huge project deadline is about to be missed, and he needs your approval, like, right now. So this wasn't just some casual chat, it was a full-blown crisis. But he buried the lead under a mountain of details you just didn't need to hear. So this brings us to our first big idea. Why that first minute matters so much. It's all about the hidden and honestly staggering costs of unclear communication. So what exactly is the first minute? The book defines it as that crucial transition. You know, when you go from the "how was your weekend" small talk to the actual business at hand. It is your one single chance to prep your audience, to get them ready to actually hear and understand your message. If you mess it up, you've pretty much lost them before you've even started. Okay, let's talk numbers for a second. 884. What is that? Well, according to a major study from Siemens, that's how many hours the average company of just 100 people wastes every single year just trying to clarify things that were communicated poorly in the first place. That's not just a little wasted time, that is a colossal drain on productivity. And look, the stakes here are higher than you probably think. We spend more than half of our entire workday just communicating. And get this, poor communication is one of the top reasons people get passed over for promotions. Oh, and if you make one bad impression, it takes 8 good ones to undo that damage. So getting this right isn't just a nice-to-have skill, it's absolutely critical for your career. All right, so how do we actually fix this? That brings us to our next section, framing your conversation. This is the simple 15-second fix that can bring clarity to your everyday talks. Framing is so beautifully simple. It just boils down to answering 3 questions for your listener right up front. Number 1, context. Just, what is this topic? Number 2, intent. Why are you telling me this? And number 3, key message. What's the headline here? That's it. Context, intent, key message. So easy. Let's go back to that conversation with Steve. Remember the 10-minute ramble? Well, with framing, it turns into a 15-second intro. He could have just said, "Hi, I'm working on the testing for the LT10 project." That's the context. "I need your help." That's the intent. "We have a testing issue and we're going to miss the deadline." That's the key message. I mean, it's night and day, right? One is a mess, the other is clear, direct, and gets straight to the point. And that is such a critical point. Framing isn't about trying to cram your entire message into 15 seconds. No, not at all. It's about respecting the other person's time and their brain power. You're giving them a clear signpost, a hook to hang the rest of the details on, so they can actually follow along with you instead of being stuck guessing what you're talking about. Okay, so framing is perfect for kicking things off. But what do you do when you have to explain something that's, really complex? For that, you need a different tool. You need a roadmap. You need a GPS. Yeah, when a topic gets really complicated, it's so easy for your listener to get lost in all the details, all the jargon. A GPS gives them that simple, high-level map so they can see the whole journey and follow along no matter how windy the roads get. And the GPS method is just as simple as framing. G stands for goal. What is it we're actually trying to do here? P is for problem. What's the big roadblock stopping us? And S is for solution. So what's our plan to fix it? Goal, problem, solution. The book uses this awesome story to illustrate it. Imagine 2 NASA engineers at a BBQ. And they're just completely failing to explain why the space station costs so much money. Their friend, who's not a scientist at all, listens for a bit and then boils it all down for them. He starts with the goal. He says, okay, so I think what you're saying is we built a science lab in space and it's helping us learn a lot of important things. Then he absolutely nails the problem. He says, the problem is space is really hard to get to, and there are like 100 different ways a person can be killed up there. No jargon, no orbital mechanics, just the core human challenge. And finally, he gives them the solution. So, it takes a ton of money to keep that lab floating in space and, to make sure the scientists who are using it stay alive. Goal, problem, solution. Just like that, in 3 simple sentences, he summarized one of the most complex projects in human history. That's the power of GPS. And what that story really shows us is that any topic, it doesn't matter how complex, can be summarized clearly. The secret is to shift your focus. Stop just describing the complicated situation and start framing it as a problem that we need to solve. All right, final section. Let's make this super practical. Let's talk about your next first minute and how you can put all this to work for you. Like today, you can seriously apply this framework almost everywhere. Let's take your next email. That subject line, that's your context. And the very first sentence of the email, that should be your intent. What do you need from the person reading it? The same exact logic works for meeting invites and even those quick, impromptu chats in the hallway. It's a simple, universal tool. At the end of the day, using these techniques really forces a shift in your mindset. It's like what Dennis Waitley said. You stop dwelling on what went wrong, and instead you focus all your energy on what to do next, on moving forward to find an answer. Framing and GPS aren't just about being clear, they're about being proactive and driving action. Every single conversation you have is a little reflection of how you think and how you lead. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What if mastering your next first minute? What if that's the one thing that actually changes your next career move?